Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Granberg and Biggs. This is the Waiver Wire Show. We're here with you 5 days a week, giving you the fantasy football intel. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notifications. That's if you're on YouTube. If you're on Twitter or on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, then you're cool. Also, go to fantasysportsadvicenetwork.com. We are here. And sign up for a pro membership, and you'll get access to all of your favorite content creators and everything. I noticed that there's a real huge migration over to Blue Sky from Twitter, and everybody's saying, oh, there's no ads and no trolls and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we got that. So go to fantasysportsadvicenetwork.com and get your membership started. We are here. All right, let's get the show started. We're going to be giving you some quarterbacks.
Hold on. I didn't realize Dan Mader was on the show today.
I could never compete with those dulcet tones.
It sounded so close. It was like a clone. It was like a clone voice.
Don't flatter me. Show him your sweatshirt. Mike got a package today.
I got a package every day. I mean, today.
Red Dog Mine, Alaska. That's where my girlfriend works.
Yeah.
So I wanted it to be represented around Manitoba. The company is Canadian, so it fits. Anyway, all right, let's get the show started. We got quarterbacks. No tight ends today. I mean, we've been telling you to pick up tight ends. We told you to pick up Cade Otton. That's been a boon. Told you some other guys. I was going to go with Jonnu Smith, but you probably already have him anyway. So let's start with quarterbacks. And Greinberg, is there a quarterback that I wish we were in our StreamYard studio, because my thing says I just picked him up. Ask me anything. Who's your guy?
Well, I'm gonna get folks to look at a guy that I don't know if it's a tough one. Okay, I'm going to talk about Trey Lance, and the reason why is just his upside here. He's a dual threat potential. So although his passing ability is still a work in progress, he got a shot in the second half of this game this week. Proved that he could move around a bit with his legs. I think he rushed 4 times for about 15 yards. The Dak Prescott injury, it opens the door for Trey Lance to come in, and it's an increased role now he's going to have. Cooper Rush he was the starter. It looks like Lance has now supplanted him, and it looks like he's going to have that opportunity to improve on his poor 54% completion percentage. But he's had 43 passing yards in the 3 quarters against the Eagles, further raising the likelihood that Lance will be called upon. So looking at the future here, Lance is emerging as that opportunity in the Dallas Cowboys offense, as that lead guy, and he's connected with CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb is a guy that, he's going to improve a quarterback situation no matter who it is throwing the ball to him. So CeeDee Lamb is going to, have that opportunity to make Trey Lance fantasy viable, especially with the opportunity with his legs. And I see the Dallas Cowboys coming back and having to play from behind a lot, and hopefully Trey Lance has that opportunity, but not much else out there on the waiver wire outside of maybe the guy that you're going to talk about, Biggs.
Yeah, because I already gave you Drake May and Desmond Ridder, and so I already picked up Trey Lance. So he's a just in case. He does run. He's a very good runner, and hopefully a 60-yard day plus a touchdown or 2 will offset the 6 interceptions he may throw. All right, let's get into my guy. I've talked about this guy quite a bit, and he's had a very up and down season dealing with his own injuries to his best wide receivers, injuries all over the place, and he got out of the gate firing hot. and then kind of took a nosedive, and then this past week had his best week throwing wise so far. He had his highest yardage total of the season, and a couple touchdowns. My guy,
I wish I knew how to quit you.
is Derek Carr. I will never stop going back to Derek Carr. He's going to be one of my most added and dropped every season until he retires, because I have all faith in the world in the man. And they got the new coach bump this last weekend and went out and won themselves the game. And I think that's going to be a good situation for the entire New Orleans Saints team. Now, he likely won't have Chris Olave. He won't have Chris Olave for the rest of the year, but he's still got Alvin Kamara. He's still got tight ends he relies upon. No Rashid Shaheed, but A.T. Perry might come back. They got Tipton. He's got some options. Kendre Miller is going to be off the IR, and we know that he's a good, skilled receiving back. So the future looks a little bit brighter for Derek Carr than it did a couple weeks ago, and he's still available in like 85% of your leagues. So go out and grab him, stash him. He's got, I want to say, a game next week and then a week 12 bye. So he's going to be very cheap. He's going to be attainable because people aren't going to want to have him the next couple weeks. But if you stash him now, he's got a very, very good matchup situation going down the stretch in your fantasy playoffs, including a date against the Las Vegas Raiders on it's around New Year's Eve. So it's week 17, and that's fantasy championships, y'all. And the Raiders are a pretty terrible matchup for wide receivers, but they're a really good matchup for quarterbacks. So go grab Derek Carr now while you can.
In a revenge game, and I just think you really want me to make another short with that, video of him singing in front of that convertible.
Grabbing his nuts.
It was great. Yeah.
I'm gonna
let's
play
make
this
another
one
one like that.
It took I think this was an inspired idea. Hey, Derek Carr.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
All right, there it is.
There it is. All right. Well, I'm going to talk about my waiver wire ad at the wide receiver position, and I'm talking about Ricky Pearsall, and he is got first round draft capital. And since week 7, Pearsall has steadily increased his involvement in the 49ers offense. This past Sunday, he made a statement in getting his first NFL touchdown, that 46-yard catch and run against the Bucs. His speed was evident on that touchdown. It reminds fantasy managers why he was highly regarded as a prospect entering the league and why the 49ers, invested that first round draft capital on. He's going to have an increased opportunity due to the injury to Brandon Ayuk. He's out for the season, and Deebo Samuel and Juwan Jennings always kind of in and out of the lineup, battling injury. So I think Pearsall is positioned well to step up and fill a larger role. He's now building that chemistry with Brock Purdy. That rapport is developing nicely, and they have some favorable matchups ahead. They face defense that have struggled against the pass, including, defenses like, the Seahawks. They got a couple matchups against them, and the Rams as well. So looking ahead, he's becoming that waiver wire ad that I want to have after that touchdown pass, and seeing those target shares in that offense that is emerging now, and they're in must-win situations. So, Biggs, what do you got as your wide receiver guy?
Well, I got a guy who he's been much maligned. We'll say that, and if I'm not mistaken, which I very well could be, he's making a return to the program. I know we've talked about him at least a couple times, maybe not necessarily on the waiver ads, but I think we might have. And he's the kind of guy that'll make you.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
And that's Quentin Johnston of the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, we talked about how the Chargers are deploying Ladd McConkey as their number one target option. And they've got Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston on the outside. Those guys are getting 4 to 5 targets a game. and their average depth of target is pretty deep. So it's very, very evident that Justin Herbert is looking for Ladd McConkey in the short and intermediate, and whenever Quentin Johnston can get separation on a deep crosser or Josh Palmer can get down the sideline, he's looking for those two guys. And he found Quentin Johnston on a beautiful play this last weekend. Go grab Quentin Johnston. He's available, and he should. Again, the Chargers have a lot of really good matchups coming up over the next 6 weeks and into the playoffs, and you'll be happy you did.
Yeah, and it's looking like Justin Herbert is more like a floor QB1 quarterback at this stage of his of this season, which I'm surprised he's getting there based off of the Harbaugh influence. But he's playing well. He's playing good football. He's finding his receivers, and he's making a couple of these guys relevant. And I'm really hoping to see that he can continue, targeting Ladd McConkey, which he was kind of a little bit silent this week. But hopefully we see a little bit more of that.
Well, I tried to tell people that Greg Roman is not the worry for Justin Herbert or the wide receivers because he has sustained Lamar Jackson. He's sustained 140 target wide receiver. Yes, they're going to rely heavily on the running backs, which they do, and they rely heavily on the defense. But Justin Herbert is absolutely viable, and I have been snatching him up everywhere that I possibly can because he's not quite as available as Derek Carr. So he doesn't necessarily qualify for the show, but I'm loving Justin Herbert as a huge second half boom quarterback.
There you go. Okay. Let's get into the running backs here. And there's a couple guys here that are starting to come on. These rookie running backs, as always, every year, they tend to get the usage near the halfway point of the season. They start getting ramped up. And the guy that you and we've been touting all off season, we had him circled. I actually had him as one of my bold predictions heading into the season, thinking that he would emerge, and it's starting to happen now. And I'm talking about Audric Estime, and he's a good pickup this week because he emerged past Javonte Williams this week in the Broncos backfield, and they played a really, really tough, the toughest run defense in the league in the Chiefs, and he had a solid performance, 53 yards on 14 carries in week 10. This uptick in usage is significant given that he is now ahead of Javonte Williams on the depth chart. Williams struggled, and he hasn't been consistent this year, while Estime's steady and patient running style combined with his ability to grind out those extra yards makes him more reliable option moving forward and the clear number one back in Denver right now. So his volume alone makes him a viable RB2 and a high-end flex play, particularly when facing weaker run defenses. And the Broncos have definitely surprised this year with the emergence of Bo Nix and the passing game. And now with, a boom bust kind of run game here, I could just see this happening for Audric Estime. Clear depth chart position, positive trended performance, Sean Payton's commitment to him, and his college production and upside tells me that Estime is going to emerge as a high-end RB2 rest of season here, Biggs. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that was my guy before I got to the show sheet and saw that you had already added him. So two minds, same guy. Let's go get Audric Estime.
Let's go. And then you know what? I looked at the show sheet now, and you talked about a guy that we talked about last week, and another guy that's coming on strong here. So why don't you talk about your guy here?
Yeah. So I know that Mike keeps saying to himself about Trey Benson.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Trey. I love that. And I love that I just found a website for uploading clips like that. So I'm going to be utilizing the crap out of it. All right. Trey Benson is my running back ad. He's available. This is a guy. Here's a guy. We have been talking about him since the preseason, and it's just a matter of time. I mean, this is the 11th week we're saying it's just a matter of time before James Conner gets hurt. Even though every week I watch James Conner and he just looks like a real strong dude. At some point he's got to get hurt. And even with James Conner playing and at 100% at full strength, everybody has been high on the Braylon Allen as RB2 in the Jets offense bandwagon, but really the guy who is performing as an RB2, giving you, 10 flex points if it's absolutely necessary, is Trey Benson. He's getting the, 6 yards per carry. He's getting 10 carries per game, 2 targets. They're absolutely utilizing him in that offense to the extent that it's a two-headed monster. Whereas Breece Hall is still the dude in New York, Trey Benson is getting a lot more run than Braylon Allen is. So if he's on your waiver wire, and he should be, we're gonna keep. I think what we should do is on this show every week we should just remind people to pick up Trey Benson.
Yeah, I mean, and he's gonna continue to get those opportunities, and they don't need a whole lot, these guys, once these rookies come in and prove why their draft capital is what they were. And where we could find a community, Biggs, where
why don't you tell the people?
I'm going to tell. No, I'm not going to. I don't have the voice for it. Who's got the voice for it?
Dan Mater.
Let's hear from Dan Mater.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
See, now when I told everybody go to FantasySportsAdviceNetwork.com, that was accurate, but Dan Mater with FantasySportsAdvice.com was precise. There's a difference between accurate and precise.
Dan's precise. But today I went on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network website and I posted in the fantasy football chat, and I said, hey, drop your Monday Night Miracles in the chat. And for me, my Monday Night Miracle was Raheem Mostert. Am I going to hit that one up, Biggs? 11 points.
You absolutely did last night right now.
Perfect. Because we hoped we won. And what do we hope that our viewers do?
Win.
Yeah, we hope you win. And then Biggs, finish the show off. Tell everybody where to find us, like you do so elegantly.
Find us at Big Boned FFB on Twitter, and also FF Canuck 99 on Twitter. You can go to my cards page, Big Boned FFB cards. Go to cards and find us there. How elegant was that?
There was a couple times where I thought that it was like there was a very good tone that I think you might be able to use in the future. We'll have to talk about that one later on.
I was just trying to be elegant.
That was the tone, buddy. That was the tone. Okay, folks, we hope you win.
We hope you win.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member.